of the Torah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise be to the Holy One of Yisrael.
Hallelujah.
Praise be to the Holy One of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Praise be to the Holy One, the creator of the heavens and the earth and all that therein is, that which is in the sea and that which is underneath the sea. Everything that's living that has breath, may it praise and give honor to the Holy One of Yisrael. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking out your time tonight to be part of what they would call a mikra. A mikra is what they call a convocation, okay? And this convocation is dealing with the gathering of a group of people to convoke. And convoke basically means to proclaim. So by you being here, we're proclaiming that this is a set apart time. This is a high holy day. And the day that we're going to be talking about today, or the Moedim, in the Hebrew is called a Moedim, it's an appointed time. And so we're commanded to proclaim it and to speak it and to say it. And so that's what we're going to be doing today or this evening when the sun goes down, which should happen probably in about 6 or 7 minutes or so when the sun begins to set. It doesn't have to be completely dark outside before this day takes place. I would say before this within the next 6 or 7 minutes, if you wanted to get some water before, you could get that water. If you wanted to, if you didn't get a chance to eat, you should have had something to eat before this time, because at this moment, in the next 5 to 6 minutes, the beginning of what they call Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, will commence. And at that time, there will be considered a Shabbat. It's called a high Shabbat, a high Shabbaton. And a Shabbaton is a time of where your Shabbats are going from morning to evening, but they're going from evening to evening. They're starting in the evening, and it's only 2 of them. And the only 2 that they have is called the Pesach, which is a memorial. It's a vigil to the Holy One of Israel. And this in particular one, the Day of Atonement, which is another one where it's from the evening to the evening. So these Shabbats here are a little different than the rest of them, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Make sure today that you have any questions, raise your hand. I'm here to instruct, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. If you would like to make a contribution in terms of saying something, feel free to raise your hand and make a contribution. My responsibility and my job to you as a teacher, not the teacher, but as a more, is to be able to tell you what does the Torah say. And I would say I'm honored enough to be able to know what the Hebrew word is and how to break it down and to know exactly what it's saying. I can look at it and tell you its verb tenses and so forth. So it's not like I'm guessing on anything. I've researched this. I put something together for us to help better explain it. Talking sometimes could be a little redundant. And so basically we work better with pictures and we work better with slides and stuff like that to kind of get our minds, going and to get things going in us. Okay. What is this day about? This day is about humility. That's what this day is about. This day that we're about to go into, the Day of Atonement, is a time of humility. And there's reasons why the Holy One of Israel has called his people, the ones who claim him as their Elohim, is supposed to come and to meet with him on this in particular day. And we're going to talk about that, okay? We have just a few minutes, and I want to open us up with a prayer in this convocation to talk about the Day of Atonement and how and this is different from any other day. It's very powerful, you guys. It's very, very powerful. So I'm going to go down a list of things, and we're going to share some ideas and how you are supposed to open up this day. Okay. Opening up this day with a regular prayer is not good enough. This is a time of what they would call judgment, okay? And it's where the Holy One of Israel, okay, determines whether a person, okay, would be worthy, okay, of him and his forgiveness. Okay. And so he's asking Israel to do something to prove. Okay. So that's about us taking a step back from everything part of our life, discontinuing everything in our life, so we can honestly have the time to think about who we are and what we're going through and what's really going on. Okay. You can't do this when you're occupied with other things. This day is what they call the highest, one of the holiest days of all the times in which Yah has decided to meet with Israel. Okay, we have a 2-minute clock down. Got 2 minutes until we get into this prayer. This is the holiest time out of all the days that he's mentioned to us. All the appointments. This one is critical. Is critical for Israel. It's 100% critical. Okay. Let's begin, and I want you all to meditate. Anyone have a question before I get started? Any questions, concerns? I want to read something to us, okay, just to kind of set the tone. I'm not going to take too long tonight, okay, but long enough for us to get an understanding. Yahweh, our Eloheinu, the Elohim of our fathers, we come to you tonight and we bring our prayer before you. We're asking tonight that you would not hide yourself from us and that you would listen to our plea, Yahweh. We're not arrogant or obstinate enough to believe that we haven't sinned against you, that we ourselves and our fathers have done everything that you've asked us to do. Yahweh, we ask tonight that while we go into this time of what they call Yom Kippur, your time, your day, that we would look at ourselves, that we would understand that we have sinned and we have acted wickedly, Yahweh. We have dealt treacherously with you. We have robbed you from the glory and the honor that your name deserves. We have actually spoken profanities, Yahweh, that has been against you. In our ways, Yahweh, we have, according to your perspective, we have been perverted in our thinking. We've acted presumptuously, thinking that for some way or another that you would not understand or that you would not know the things that we do, the things that we've done in secret. We ask that you would forgive us, Yahweh. We ask that during this time of this study tonight, this mikra, this convocation, that we would be able to proclaim the righteousness of you. We ask that we would humble ourselves before you, to prepare ourselves and our hearts to be afflicted for the time that you have allocated for your people, your children. We ask, Yahweh, that you would bring about the things that we've done over the last year and bring it to us and show us what it is about us that needs to change. We ask, Yahweh, that we would be willing to open our hearts and our minds, our emotional part of us, Yahweh, to not to hide from you what we've been secretly doing. We ask that you would reveal the motivations and what has charged us to do these things. We ask, Yahweh, that we would be transparent with you and that we be willing to listen to you and to hear what it is that you have to say to us. We ask that you would open our ears and our minds and our eyes and our mouth to give you praise and to make confession before you. None of us are innocent. None of us have walked uprightly before you. No man on this earth has never sinned or has not sinned against you and against your Torah and against your commandments. We have an obligation and a responsibility to you because you're our creator. You made us. You made us in your image and your likeness. You've given us the ability to reason, to make judgments, to evaluate, to examine, and to lay things out in front of us and make decisions. And every decision that we have made over this last year has not always been the right decision. There's been things that we have said with our mouths that is unbecoming of us and which is unbecoming of you because you're the one who's given us this breath to speak. There's things, Yahweh, that has passed past our lips. The names of other Elohim have gone from our mouths. That which we have known and that which we don't even know, Yahweh. We have thought things, Yahweh, that have been contrary to you. We've been involved in conversations that have not been conversations that glorify you. We understand our purpose and we understand our place, for we are your people. And yet we are guilty, as you declared to us, that we have profaned your name. We have brought blemish upon the greatness of who you are. And as a creation, we say that we're sorry, Yahweh. Thereby, we have decided to listen, to obey you. We've decided to put away food. We decided to put away drink. We decided, Yahweh, to put away pleasures. We decided to put everything that we wanted to do to the side. We decided, Yahweh, that we would focus our attention towards you. For you and you alone are a merciful Elohim. And we thank you. We come before you as humble as we know how. And we ask that you would be with us today, hear and speak to us. We're asking, Yahweh, that you would overlook our crimes and our offenses, and that you would forgive us, and yet not exonerating those who are guilty, but repaying those to the third and fourth generations of those who hate you, as you have declared in your word. Let us be honest, and let us be forthright in our person and who we are. We thank you. We say Toda Rabah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Toda Rabah, Yahweh. Whew. All right. Here we are. I have something really special for you tonight. What I have for us tonight is, let me see here, someone joining. Hallelujah. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me get started here. Oh, okay. Oh, I am sharing my screen. Kind of lost in the sauce. Let me see here. All right. Praise the Holy One of Israel. All right. Let me see. Okay. Here we are. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about what they call a moedim. Moedim. Okay. And a moedim is an appointed time. And it's a time in which we're commanded to meet with the Holy One of Israel. So what is a moedim? The action of this is to do something over and over and over again. Okay. And they don't have a concrete meaning, but it means an appointed time. So these things are always going to come about. It's just repeating it over and over again. The abstract on this is called being a witness, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because the appointed times and being a witness is directly connected. Okay, so the root of this word, which is called aid, which we have right here, I'll use some highlights here, is ayin and is dalet right here. Actually, the ayin right here is the eye, and the dalet is the door. Okay, and so what do we have? We have which represents the door, the dalet, but it means to see the door. That's what this means. That's what a witness is, someone who sees the door. And so it's as a coming to the tent of meeting and entering in, right, to this tent of meeting, and a place or a time or an event that is repeated again and again and again. That's what a moedim is, an appointed time. So something that you see the door. What door? The door of the tent of the meeting. When Israel was with the Holy One of Israel, okay, and they were in the wilderness with him, they had a place called the tent of meeting. Okay, it got called the tent of meeting because that's where they would go and they would meet with the Holy One of Israel. Okay, the reason why they had to have this tent of meeting is because the Holy One of Israel separated himself from the children of Israel because of their crime, which we're going to get into a little bit later. Okay, initially he was right there in the midst of them, but because of their transgression against him, he said, I need to move my tent away from them. Otherwise, I'll end up having to kill every last one of them. Okay, so what they would do is they would turn their eyes toward the tent of meeting. They would focus their attention. So every time Moshe would go in, everyone would go to their door, to their tents, and they would fall down and they would worship the Holy One of Israel. They would see this door. And that is when Moshe was going in to the tent of meeting for what? On their behalf. And how often did he go? He went over and over and over and over again. And that's why you and I have what they call the Torah today. It's because that's what he did. Okay. So what is a part of this word? The aid. An aid is called a witness. Anyone who goes to this tent of meeting or sees Moshe going in, okay, at a prescribed time or place or an event, and they do it over and over again, you now have become what they call a witness. You're a witness, just like you are tonight. You're a witness to something. And guess what you're witnessing? You're giving testimony to the fact, like you would in court, that I am actually a witness to a certain event and a certain time at a certain place. Okay. That's what you are. You're a witness. The Moedim has this word in it. Hebrew word for witness. So you being here tonight says something about you, that you are a witness. You're bearing witness to something. You're bearing testimony to something. Okay. At a certain place, at a certain time, at a certain event, that you've done it over and over again. Some of us have done this a few times. I've done it probably like 7 times so far in my life. Okay. 7 times. That's not a lot, but I've been a witness for 7 years to this. Okay. And every time I get to it, I do it over and over and over again. Okay. So I want you to keep this in mind, because that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to a group of witnesses. You're a witness. You're an aid. Let's verify if that's true. Isaiah, Yeshayahu, chapter 43 says this. You are my witnesses, says Yahweh, and my servant in whom I have chosen. Why have I done this? That you may know, and that you may what? You may know, and that you may believe me. Believe me for what? And understand that I am he. You're a witness to the fact You're a witness to the fact that I am the only Elohim. And how are you proving that? By being a witness. By doing what? By showing up somewhere to a what? To a place, to a time, and to an event. You see? Place and a time and an event. And you're doing it over and over again. By you showing up says that you say that he is, that he's him, he's the only Elohim. But the only way you'll know that and you believe that is if you do what? If you show up. If you show up to the time and the place that he told you. Because before me, there was no Elohim formed. And nor shall there be any after me. There is no other Elohim. There is no other power besides me. Elohim means power for one. There is none. If I wanted to tell you if there was someone else, I would have told you. But I told you, and you saw it with your own eyes, and you heard it with your own ears, that there is nobody else but me. There's none going to be before me, and neither shall be there any after me. There's no one else. Even I am Yahweh. And besides me, there is no Savior. That's what you're testifying today to. At this time and at this place and at this event. Because you would only listen to the one who's going to help you. You're witnesses to this. There is no other Savior. You testify to that no one else delivered you. And because you're my servant, whom I have chosen, I chose you. I chose you to be a witness about me. I chose you to be the one to proclaim that there is no other Elohim. I chose you for that. That's why you're my aid. You're my witnesses. That's who you are. You're an aid. You're an ayin and you're a dalet, which means what? The eye sees the door. You see the door. You saw the tent of meeting. That's what you see. Let's get some more. I have declared and saved. And this I talking is Yahweh. I have proclaimed. See? I make a proclamation that there was no foreign God among you. There was nobody else with you. There has never been anybody else with you. There was no foreign God among you. Foreign meaning that the only God that you know is the one who came and got you out of land of Mizraim. Therefore, you are my witnesses. See? Now, the question is whether or not you're a faithful witness or a false witness. And the fact of the matter is that you're proving yourself to be a faithful witness because you're here to do what? Like he has done, to proclaim there is no foreign God among us. You are my witnesses. Okay? So this Moedim is about us witnessing something. That's what this is about, says Yahweh, that I am Elohim. There is nobody else. And indeed, before the day was, I am he. Before there was Yom Akkad, before there was a day even made, I'm the one who exists. Before there was even a day, before there was even a day on the calendar, before there was even any light, before there was even any existence of anything, I am he. And there is no one who can deliver out of my hand. I work, and who will reverse it? Nobody. That's why you're my witnesses, because there's no one else. That's what you're supposed to be testifying to. I have this chart here, this little diagram here that I made. I don't know if you call it a diagram, but I put it together. I wanted something to be nice for you guys so you can look at it and we can talk about the cycles, because I always talk about cycles. I have some different things that, there's other people got charts and stuff up. So I just took something and I made it up. Okay. But I want us to go through it. I want us to understand a few things about this. Okay. You notice there's 3 cycles. Each one of these cycles, okay, happen every single year. Okay. So the first cycle, this one here, has to deal with the springtime. There's a cycle. I told you there's cycles for everything. There's menstrual cycles, there's pregnancy cycles, there's birth cycles, there's the cycle of your skin. Your skin cycles every 7 days when you're young. It goes to 14 days, and it goes to 31 days, and it goes to 45 days. There's cycles. There's seasons, which are called cycles. So Yah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, has decided that he wants to put the times in which he wants to meet with us. Okay. These 7 appointments that I want to meet with you. I want to meet with you. I want to enjoy you. Okay. And they're going to be in the springtime. They're going to be in the summertime. And there's going to be one in autumn. Okay. I don't want to meet in the cold, dead winter. I want to meet at these specific times, these 7 times. The first one we're going to talk about is this memorial. It's a vigil. Okay. Pesach is called a vigil. It's Yahweh's vigil. It's Yahweh's memorial. This is not a festival. It's a vigil. Okay. It's a time to contemplate about what Yah did for Israel, delivered them from Mitzrayim. Okay. That's number 1. It's not a festival. All these are not festivals. Okay. Now we have some festivals. The following day, you move away from Pesach, and he moves you to Feast of Matzah, unleavened bread, because Israel left out of Mitzrayim, and they left with unleavened bread. They didn't have time to leaven their bread, so you got to leave with it. So every year on this cycle, I want to remind you of that. But you'll have a feast. You'll eat, you'll celebrate. Now to be on a Shabbat. Okay. That's the number 2 one. The third one in this in particular season, called the spring. And don't worry, if you don't remember it, you'll get it because you're going to stay on the cycle. Okay. The third one is called the Feast of First Fruits, called Bakurim. Okay. Which means chosen. Just like Yah said, I chose you to be my witnesses. I chose you to be my servant. Yah has chosen Israel. Out of all the peoples on the face of the earth, he chose Israel to be what? A first fruits unto Yahweh. Okay. And so when they got into the land, he says, when you get your first fruits, chapter number 26 of Deuteronomy, I want you to bring me a basket of fruits. I want you to do that, because I want you to remember that I brought you into the land. Okay. What else do we have? What's the fourth one? Now we're going to go into another cycle. This one here is called the Feast of Shavuot. This is where they receive the Torah. And it's a time of harvest. Okay. It's a feast of harvest. There's certain things that grow in different seasons. So this harvest has to do with that which is in the summer fruits. I think it's the barley, if I'm not mistaken, either the wheat or the barley. Got to figure out which one it is, but there's different times for different harvests. Okay. But this is when he gave us the Torah. Okay. This is the fourth one. It's a festival. It's supposed to celebrate. Fifth one. The fifth appointment. Appointed time. This one here is called Yom Teruah. It's a Shabbat. You're supposed to be festival. All Shabbats are supposed to be festive. Okay. Except for one. Okay. Which has to do with this day. This blowing of the shofar here is letting us to warn us, to tell us you have 9 days, you have 8 days until the 9th. Get prepared for the Day of Atonement, which this is the one that we're talking about tonight. Yom Kippur is the 6th appointment. Okay. After we finish with this, which this is from evening until evening. Okay. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. We're going to cover that tonight. And then finally, we have 7, where this is the ingathering. The ingathering of the last of the harvest. There's all kind of fruits. There's, I think, like I said, I don't know if it's wheat, or barley, whichever one took longer to grow. And you take that and you bring this to Yah, along with, 70 rams and, 70 bulls and 98 lambs and 14 rams and sin offerings every day, and not including the olas and the burnt offerings. Okay. So these are the times, the appointments in which the Holy One of Israel wants his people to meet with him. Okay. To celebrate with him. Right. And there's 3 of them that are more specific to the males, that only the males are supposed to go. That's a whole nother study. Okay. I just wanted to let you know that there are 7 appointments that Israel has to meet with their creator. Each one of these appointments, okay, points you to something. This over here tells you about the redemption of Israel. This right here tells you how quickly they had to move out. This one here tells you about him bringing him to the land. This one here reminds us of him giving the Torah. This one here is a reminder that the Day of Atonement is coming out. Okay. And we need to be prepared for that. This one here talks about the atonement reminds us of something which we're going to get into. Reminds us of a great crime that Israel committed. And this one here reminds us that Yah says, I'm going to tabernacle among you because you lived in tents while you were in the wilderness after I brought you out of Mitzrayim. Each of these has to do with the experience that Israel had as when they came out of Mitzrayim. So they're not just happenstance. They're not on accident. They all have purpose and they all point you to something. Okay. Feel free to ask questions.
I had a couple
Yes.
of questions.
Yes.
So these are the high Shabbats, right? That are from evening to evening. All of them are.
No, 2 of them. Thank you for asking that. The only 2 that are high is this one is from evening to evening, and this one. This here right here, the Day of Atonement, is not a festival. It's not a festival. Pesach is not a festival. It's a memorial of the dead. It's a vigil for the firstborn. This right here is, you need to be mourning and grieving because I was going to kill you. I need you to remember that. The rest of these you celebrate. You go, you make your food, you eat and everything. Not this one. These 2 right here is interesting. Okay. What's your other part of that question?
The other part was, so since the Feast of Sukkot is the last festival, does that mean that our calendar year ends after Sukkot and then like we go into our next year after Sukkot's over?
Well, no, that's a great question. Right here at the Feast of Sukkot, our agricultural calendar ends. So so all the planting and everything like that, you got to begin to get prepared to start planting seed so it can be buried for the winter. Okay. And then by the time you get back to this spring festival right here, when you go to this visual, you'll be able, because remember, Yah says that on Pesach, your beginning of months is going to be the month of Aviv. That's the beginning of the year for us. So ours is not going to begin like right now. The Jewish calendar says that they have what they call the ceremonial or ecclesiastical year, and then they have the I forgot the name, what they call the other one. Well, one has to do with agriculture and one has to do with civil, and the other one has to do with spiritual, right? We don't have that, okay? So we don't follow that. What we understand is that Pesach is a time of the beginning of the spring months of Aviv right here. And the word Aviv actually literally means, I need someone to put your device, make sure everybody's on mute. Make sure you're on mute. Thank you. Make sure you're on mute unless you have to ask a question. So Aviv is a time of the beginning of the month, the beginning of the year. It's the first month. That's the first month. Okay. Then you're going to go through 11 other months. You're going to go through 11 months. Okay. But our ingathering in our agricultural calendar ends right here. The ingathering is it. That's it. You might ask yourself, well, why did Yah introduce these things to us? I want you to think about this, okay? Each one of these represent, like I said, it talks about Israel, okay? With inside of each one of these, you can find out some very important information, okay? So the reason why Yah calls the Feast of Sukkot in gathering is because at that time, like we read in our Torah portion, that the Feast of Sukkot is when they would read the Torah at the end of the 7 years, the Shemitah, which is a time of release, okay? The ingathering is not on an accident, it's ingathering, okay? The Holy One of Israel mentions this festival in the book of Zechariah, and he tells us in the book of Zechariah that anybody who's part of the nation that doesn't, who doesn't show up to this festival will receive famine. They will receive famine and they will be destroyed because they didn't show up to this festival. Why? Because Yah is going to use this festival as a memorial. This is going to be the memorial. If you've been in my classes, you'll know that what I told you, according to what Yah has shown me through the Torah, when Yah decides to regather Israel, it's going to be at this time in this season. It's going to be in the feast at this time. It's going to be here because that's the time of release. That's the time of ingathering. That's the time when he gathers all Israel, its males, females, children, and everybody to come and hear the Torah 100%. Okay. So if there's a time for any time when Yah would decide to do a memorial, he told us it's going to be at this time. It's going to be at this time. Just like he chose Pesach to be the time that he told everybody this is his memorial for Pesach, and it's remembered all over the world to let everyone know what he did for Israel. So the next time the Yah does something, he says, I'll tell you the end at the beginning. I'll tell you the end at the beginning. Okay, the Feast of Yom Kippur is pointing you to let you know before I gather, this is a time for me to examine you. I'm going to examine you. I'm going to examine your heart. I'm going to examine you. This is a time of scrutiny. Well, how, we got a farmer online right now. He'll tell you, stand and tell you when it's times for harvest and he goes out there, he's taking a very hard look at things. He'll tell you that if he had a vineyard, he would be looking at the grapes and see which ones he should put in the basket and the other ones that he should throw away. He sees the one that will be good, he'll keep it. If it's not good, if it's rotten or insects that got to it, he doesn't keep it. He'll get rid of it. So Yom Kippur is the time of judgment, it's the time of examination before the ingathering. Sukkot ain't just about living in tents, folks. Sukkot is a time of ingathering. Yah says, I've scattered Israel all over the four corners of the earth. There's coming a time when he says, I'm going to regather Israel back. And what time would that be? Well, according to the Torah, it's going to be this time, in this season, because our Elohim deals with agriculture. He's dealing with agriculture. There's no other time where Yah says, if any of the cycles, okay, no other cycle in the festival has to do with gathering except for this in particular festival at this time. And this is examination, which you and I are going to get into right now. The day that we're looking at is called Yom HaKippurim, okay? And it's called the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement, where does it come from? Well, Yom, of course, is day, right? Yod, Wa, and the final mem. HaKippurim, just wanted to let you know a little Hebrew on this. It's HaKippurim. The Hey, the Kaf, the Pei, the Resh, the Yod, the final mem. HaKippurim. The atonement. What does it mean? The Hebraic meaning of this day means this. The action is to cover, okay? The concrete of this means a lid. I'm going to show you what a picture looks like, okay? So it's to cover something with a what? With a lid. Abstract atonement, okay? It's a protective covering to go over something or the covering of a debt or wrong that someone's doing. So when you look at this word atonement, just chop it up. It means atonement. That's what it means. It means to come back and to bring that which is separated back together, to reconcile something, to forgive, to purge, to cleanse, to pacify, right? To show mercy, to disannul, to appease and pardon. Yah is angry at our sin. We could try to shape it and mold it any way we want to. But the fact of the matter is, our Elohim is holy. And because he's holy, he says that you shall be holy. That's not something they got that in the New Testament from us. He said, I'm holy, therefore you should be holy. Any kind of sin that Israel commits, even if it's uncleanness of the body, Yah says it has to be atoned for. Atonement wasn't just on one day of the year. That was for the nation, right? But there was atonement that always needed to happen all the time, because they were in Yahweh's presence. Anytime you're in his presence, you need to make atonement. And we'll see this in the book of Leviticus, chapter number 4, 5, and 6. Atonement always has to be made. A covering, something to cover over that which is wrong, or that which is unclean, or something that can't be paid. It's something has to be taken care of. That's what it means. In order to be brought back to being at one ment, because that's what we're talking about. At one ment, to be brought back as one, something has to happen. And it's not going to happen from our perspective. We play part of it. We're actually, we're part of the program. We're part of this process. We can contribute to it, but there's something that he has to do. Okay. And so this lid that you're talking about is this. Where did they get the idea of this lid? This lid comes from this lid right here. This golden lid right here. Okay. Which these karavim were made in one piece on this lid. Well, what is this lid covering? What is this? What is this covering? What's this lid covering? You guys know?
The Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant. Yes, it's covering. Well, what's in the Ark?
The 10 words.
The 10 words of the covenant. And guess what? Those 10 words were witnessed by Israel. They heard these words. These are the words that are inside of the box, the 10 words. Okay? They put the scroll of the Torah on the side of this Ark of the Covenant. They call this not only the Ark of the Covenant, they call it the Ark of the Testimonies. When Yah spoke his words, they were testimonies. They're testifying to us that I am your Elohim who brought you out of Mitzrayim. You shall not have any other Elohim before me. You should not make an image of any Elohim before of me, or any image. You should not use my name in vain and misrepresent who I am. You should keep the Shabbat. Those are the Creator's testimonies. And when he spoke it, Israel heard these words. And that's what they got joined to. And it's not over. It's not done. So this lid right here is a cover to do what? To protect the words of the Holy One of Israel that's inside of this box. They're in here, 2 stone tablets. Well, you're saying, well, that's no longer available. No, Yah's telling us that I have to do something for you. I have to cover you. Why do you think when they came in here, they had to sprinkle blood before this? They had to draw blood all in front of here from an animal to appease Yah. They had to be appeased because Israel would commit sins that were inadvertent and they were accidental. No sin that was done on purpose was never atoned for. I want you to understand what I'm just telling you. Anybody that committed an act or a crime that required death, there was no atonement for a person who shed innocent blood. No one can stand in the gap for anybody. There was no remedy for anybody who was destined to die. They couldn't atone for them. They couldn't bail them out. They couldn't redeem them from their death. If you received a death sentence, that's what you got. The concept comes from this lid, and this lid comes from the idea of protection. Protecting what? Yah's words. This is what it says, Leviticus 23 and 26. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, on the 10th day of this month is Yom Kippur. It shall be a holy convocation. Okay. That's what you and I are doing right now. We're doing a convocation. It's called a mikra. Okay. Mikra means a time of assembling so we can proclaim this day. That's what we're doing right now. You shall afflict your souls, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, and you shall do no work on that same day, for it is a day of atonement to make atonement before Yahweh, your Elohim. Okay. Now keep in mind, they're there in front of Yah. Therefore, because they were in front of him, they need to make an offering made by fire to Yahweh. You know, I don't have any offerings. So does the day of Yom Kippur don't apply anymore? Well, let's see. Let's see if the day doesn't apply anymore. Let's just see if this is something that we're just doing. It continues. It says, for any person who is not afflicted, any person who's not afflicted in a soul on that same day shall be cut off from his people. Okay. Any person who does do any kind of work on that same day, that person I will destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever. Forever. This word statue here deals with what they call a coke. And a coke is this. You know, the ket, before I finish spelling it, is a wall. Okay. Which separates. Then they have another letter right there called the kof. Okay, so it's called coke. The kof is one of gathering. Okay, that's what it means to gather. So the wall of separation and gathering, what are we supposed to put from there? Oh, guess what? Gathering that which is separated. That's what a coke is. A statue is a coke, and a coke is a decree. And a decree means to gather that which has been separated. So the people of Israel has been separated from Yah, and he calls this a statue because he says that you're supposed to show up for this time. So that which was been away from me and separated from me now can come and be gathered to me. That's the whole purpose of festivals, is that which has been separated to come together. Okay, that's how we get connected to the Holy One. He says this is a statue forever. Throughout your generations, where? Just in the land? No. This is a statue forever in all your dwellings, no matter where you live. Throughout how many your generations? All your generations. That means as long as you have children. It shall be to you a Shabbat of solemn rest, and you shall afflict your souls on the 9th day of this month at evening, until the evening, till evening, you shall celebrate your Shabbat. Okay, here really is supposed to be observed. There's no celebration. It's observation. Okay, because observation, visual observation, is knowledge, which has to do with the dalet and the ayin, the door of the eye. Key ingredient is affliction. You need to understand. I need you to afflict your soul. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. You need to afflict your soul. So how do we afflict our soul? Let's find out what our soul is so we'll know. Okay. So here's what the word for affliction is. It's called anah. Okay. Interesting enough, the same word anah here that has to be afflicted, meaning to be bowed down, to be depressed, and to put yourself down. That's what you're doing. You're bowing down. You're putting yourself flat on the ground. You're putting everything down. You're putting your soul to the ground. So where's your soul at? Well, your soul's in your body. Well, what do you got to do with your body? You got to put your body down in order for your soul to go down. You can't have your body out and about joking and being, watching television when your body, your soul's supposed to be down on the ground and afflicted. Okay. That's what affliction is bowing down, prostrating yourself down to the Holy One of Israel. Okay. That's what anah is. And now also too in the Hebrew has to do with this idea. Let me go back. Has to do with this idea of the action is called to watch, right? So from a nomadic, perspective, I'm going to give you some idea about what this really means. Okay. So affliction, this is what we're talking about, is talking about an action of watching, and concrete means the eye. So if you notice, so far we've been talking about being a witness, which has to do with the eye, the door of the eye, or the eye of the door looking towards the tent. And this is watching. So you're using your eye to watch. So affliction is how the ayin is a picture of the eye, and the nun is a picture of the seed representing continuance. So when you put these two letters together, it means the eye of continuance. So what does the eye of continuance means? It means it's constantly watching. So the nomadic agriculturalist carefully watches over what? Watches over his livestock, he watches over his crops, he watches over everything by keeping a close eye on them. Okay. It was common to construct a shelter consisting of a roof of 4 posts as a shelter from the glare of the sun. Okay. We see this also to this example of this 4 posts in the book of Jonah, which talks about how he was sitting there waiting and watching to see when Yah was going to do to the people of Nineveh. Why? Because guess what they did? They afflicted themselves. They got notice that Yah was coming in to destroy them, not to repent, but he said, I'm going to destroy you in 40 days. What did they do? They afflicted themselves. They took off their jewelry. If you got any jewelry on right now, take it off. Take it off. You got any necklaces on, take it off. We're supposed to go to a place of repentance, a place of shuving, a place of bowing down, a place of knowing that, hey, something's not right here, okay? So these people constantly looked over everything. They watched over everything. Why are you watching over your livestock and your crops? Because if I don't watch over them, something can happen to them. And the result of that would be loss for me. So when Yah's telling us to afflict ourselves, he's literally telling us off of this Hebrew word, I need you to do something. I need you to watch, which is affliction, yourself. You know how you watch over your livestock to make sure nothing happens to it, and your crops to make sure it grows and no, it's not being infected by insects? Well, what I need you to do is take that same energy, and I need you to what? I need you to watch over yourselves. What I need you to do is I need you to examine yourselves. I need you to scrutinize your behaviors. I need you to do an inventory on everything that you said. I need you to look at yourselves and say, where has my eyes been? Where's my ears been? What have I been giving my attention to? Where is my life with the Creator? Am I just going through some games that I play because I just want to be close to him now because everything is good in my life? Or is it because, is he really a priority in my life? Or he's just something that I'm just doing as a part-time job? Yah's telling us that I need you to do something. I need you to watch, afflict yourselves by looking at your life. And the reason why I need to take away this food from you and this water from you and your TV from you and your friends from you and your phone calls and your Facebook and your Twitter and your TikTok is because I need you to focus. Because this is a very serious matter. If any time during this year that we need to be focused is right now. Right now. I need to remove all distractions. Yah has asked us to move away the distractions. That's what we need to do. Move the distractions out of the way so you can focus. It's only when we're afflicted where we can become humbled. I've gotten more humble over the last year simply because I don't have the ability. I've been afflicted. My family will tell you, my friends will tell you, I can't do anything anymore. My nervous system is shot. I can't do nothing. And guess what? That's where I found my humility. I found my humility in my affliction. That's when Yah began to really talk to me, because I had a lot of stuff going on. I don't want you to do that no more. I want you to afflict your soul. I want you to afflict your nefesh. That's the name for soul. I need your nefesh to be afflicted. I need you to watch over your soul. And I can't have you watching over when you're busy putting food in your mouth. How are you going to get in connection with your soul, which you don't see? Soul, the action of a soul is the nefesh, is to refresh. The concrete is soul. The refreshing of the person, the whole body, the breath, and the mind. Yah is not telling us to refresh the brain, refresh the mind. He's telling us to afflict this. Afflict this. Afflict your whole person. I need your attention. I need your mind. I need the breath of you. I need your respirations, and I need your body. I need the functions. I specifically says this because I know you. I made you. I know what you need from me to get in contact with you. That's why I'm asking you not to work. That's why I'm asking you not to eat. I'm asking you to focus. Then after we're done, you can refresh your soul. But right now, I need you to dig deep, and I need you to examine your soul. What's the difference? Well, they got a word called Kai. Malachi, Kai, life. What's the action? The action of this word Hebraically is to live. That's life. It's an abstract term, life. What is life? Well, according to the action, is living. How do you live? You live by your stomach. That's your life. Your life is your stomach. You live by your stomach. That is your Kai. Yah has chosen the stomach to prove you and I. Just like he did in the garden. He chooses your stomach to find out who you really are. Number one complaint while in the wilderness, we're hungry, we're hungry, we're hungry. He uses their stomach. He said in Deuteronomy chapter number 8, I tested them by making them go hungry. Because an empty stomach, one is empty, is famished, and it's weak. Okay? It's weak. And when it's filled, one is revived, it's refreshed. So this organ that Yah had made for us is seen as life. You understand? And an empty stomach is seen as death. That's why he's asking you and I not to put anything in our stomach, because I was supposed to kill you, but I didn't. You see, a revived stomach is life. I don't want you to be thinking about living right now. I want you to think about what was going to happen to you and what is going to happen to you. That's what I need you to think about. Why does Israel commemorate or recall and show respect on this day? Why does it? Why does Israel do this? Easy answer, because it's a zav. Okay, it's a zah, which is a command. The Holy One of Yisrael. That's the easy answer. The creator of the heavens and the earth, the king of the universe. He commanded it. The ineffable one, meaning the one who can't be described. Words alone cannot describe this Elohim. He is not from earth. He doesn't live here. He's not from earth. He's not. He doesn't think like a man. He gives us some, what? Anthropomorphic morphism or anthropotheism. He gives different descriptions of things so you and I can relate to him, so we can try to understand and wrap our minds around who he is. But the fact of the matter is, we don't understand the significance of who he is. He's the ineffable one. There is no one like him. The question would be, what's the origin of this Moedim, this appointed time? Where did Yom Kippur come from? Why did he come up with this day? Why is this day in the Torah? This day is here because in the book of Exodus, which they call Shemot, chapter number 32, 30 through 32, it says this, and now it came to pass on the next day that Moshe said to the people, you have committed a great sin. So now I will have to go up to Yahweh. This is after he brought down the 10 commandments and broke them. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin. He thought he could go and make atonement. That's what he thought. He thought he could go up there and make atonement to make everybody okay with Yah. Atonement. He thought he could go up there and appease Yahweh. He thought he could go up there and talk Yah out of it. And he begged Yah. So Moshe returned to Yahweh and said, oh, these people have committed a great sin and have made for themselves a god out of gold. Okay, so this in particular day has to do with this god of gold. This is what Yom Kippur is about. It's about a great sin. This sin is so great that Yah wants to remind you and I of it every year. He says, yet now, if you won't forgive their sin, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, I pray that you blot me out of your book, which you have written. So he's asking to go on the behalf of Israel and said, if you won't forgive them, then just blot me out your book. Just take me out. Just erase me for them. I want to be the man that stands in the gap between you and Israel, and I want to atone for them. And guess what Yah says? That's the Holy One of Israel says. Let me show you what that great sin is. See the great sin? This is called a son of El. El is called a grape of the bull. That's what El is. This is a calf. This is a son of the great bull, the son of the God. The calf is the son, the firstborn of the bull. So I hope you can see the contrast here, or you can see the connection between the son and the great bull, El, because they worshiped a god that was a bull called Apis. Forgive me, Yahweh, for even mentioning his name on this Day of Atonement. The son of the bull, of the father. That was the great sin. Yah did not kill them for a variety of reasons, okay? Number one, they didn't hear the punishment for this. They said they were told not to do it, but he said the people had moved quickly away from me. It wasn't even within 40 days that they decided to do this. You see, this is the great sin. This is what the Day of Atonement is about. It's about this great sin. This right here, idol worship, that we just kind of skate over like a skim coat. It's nothing, just something we just talk about. No, this is significant. Yahweh said to Moshe, is continuing chapter number 32 of Shemot, Exodus. Yahweh said to Moshe, whoever has sinned against me, I'll blot him out of my book. Not you, Moshe. I'm going to blot whoever has sinned against me. What kind of sin? The great sin that you just saw, worshiping an idol. I will blot him out from my book. I'm going to blot him, not you. So you can't atone for him. Now, therefore, go, lead the people back to the place in which I have spoken to you. Behold, my Malach shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit the punishment, because he's going to visit, I will visit the punishment upon them for their sin. Yeah, I never visit them for this. He gave them a plague, but he says a day. He wasn't talking about that same day. He's talking about the day and when he comes. In the book of Isaiah, chapter number 65, he says, I'm going to repay you and your ancestors to the full for your crimes and your sins, because you haven't fully repented. Anybody that sins against the Holy One of Israel in regards to this great sin. This sin here is not talking like you and I have been taught, anyone who sinned against me, I'm blotting out of my book, so we better accept the life of Christ the Savior. Otherwise, we're dead. Not talking about that. What he's talking about in context is talking about that idol. He's talking about this in context, because this is what he went, this is the great sin. He went and talked to Yah about this idol worship. That's the one that Yah's not going to forgive. That's the one that Yah's going to blot out of the book. Anybody that serves any other God they're not going to be forgiven. They're going to be blotted out because it's the great sin. And Israel has done it again and over again. They just changed the images. Now it went from a bull to a man. Still the same thing. It's the son of the bull. It's the son, the calf. Matter of fact, let's call him the Lamb of God. Same thing. Yah's not going to forget. That person is going to be blotted out because that's the great sin. See, you can have sins for a whole bunch of stuff. There's uncleanness in all of us. Yah doesn't have a problem with that. He says, there's atonement for that. I give atonement for it all the time. If you don't have a lamb, then you got to bring me 2 pigeons. If you don't have 2 pigeons or 2 turtle doves, you can't afford that, then bring me some flour. Bring me some wheat flour. So you can be atoned for from wheat flour. You see? They don't want to talk about that. That's right there in Leviticus chapter number 5. If they don't have a lamb to atone for it, then they'll bring me 2 turtle doves. They don't have 2 turtle doves, then you bring me a handful of wheat. That's what you bring me. Yah is going to pay them. Wisdom is what we're looking for. And wisdom is the power to ask questions. How, where, and who will atone for us? Because that's the question. That's what we want to know. If we have any wisdom, we want to know this. Everybody wants to know this. And that answer will be found in 2nd Chronicles, chapter number 6, verse number 38. And let's go take a look at that. Let's go see what that looks like. Because we want the answers. So let's go to 2nd Chronicles and let's go see what it says. It says this. If they sin against you, for there is no one who doesn't sin. Do you hear this? There's no one who doesn't sin. Everybody sins. Everybody sins. Everybody's aware of this. And you are angry with them and hand them over to the enemy so that they carry them off captive to a land far away or nearby. It doesn't matter. Then, if they come to their senses, okay, like the people in Nineveh did, right, in a land where they had been carried away captive, and turn back and make their plea to you in the land where they're being held captive, saying what? We have sinned. We have acted wrongly. We have behaved wickedly. That's what you have to say. But if you don't know what your sin is, if you don't take the time to think and come to your senses, because that's what it's about. It's about us coming to our senses. You got to start thinking. Only way you could do that is if you take the time out to think. And this is the time that Yah has prescribed for Israel to do that. He says, if in the land where they are brought and being held captive, they return to you with what? They need to return. And this is the same thing that you see all the time. They have to return back with all their heart and being. This is the soul. This is the mind. This is your mind right here, not your little heart that pumps blood. That's your mind. because that's where your senses come from. You got to start thinking, and your being, which is being controlled, okay, by your mind. And you pray toward their own land, which you gave to their ancestors, toward the city you chose, and toward the house I built for your name. Then what? Then what? From heaven, from the Shamayim, where you live. I don't live in Sacramento. I don't live in Oakland. I don't live in Atlanta. I don't live in New York. I live in the Shamayim. You're going to hear their prayer and please. It's not a simple prayer. You got to plead with Yah. He said, uphold their cause and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Plain and simple. That's atonement. That's how you get forgiven. Did he mention anything here about an offering? No. You gave the offering of your lips. You said you were sorry because you came to your senses. Plain and simple. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let's go right here and read about Israel. Isaiah chapter number 26 or 27, I believe. What does he say? The time is coming when Yaakov will take root. Israel will bud and flower and fill the whole world with the harvest, because that's the goal. 7, Yahweh will not strike Israel as he did others who struck Israel. He will not kill them as he did others. Your controversy with her is fully resolved. By what? By sending her into exile. He removes her with a rough gust of wind on the day when it's blowing from the east. So the iniquity of Yaakov is atoned for by this. By what? By them being sent into exile as a nation. And removing his sin produces this result. What is he going to do when his sins are removed? What is Yah's goal of trying to get Israel to do? Yaakov is supposed to chop up all the altars of stone like chalk, sacred poles, and sun pillars stand no more. That's what it's going to be. That's the result. That's what this sin produces. When you remove his sin, this is what this produces. This is the result. He gets rid of his altars of stone and chalk, sacred poles, and his sun pillars for worship. All that's taken away. That's the result of his sin being forgiven. Yah has sent us in exile to get us to come to our senses. Let's get some more. Talked about the prophets. I read Isaiah 27 to us just now. So when this phrase here comes up on the board, what do you think about? What do you think about? Do this in remembrance of me. Where does that phrase come from? Where does that come from?
That's the New Testament.
That's the New Testament, and they're telling you this is what you need to do in order to have your sins atoned for, right? Isn't this what they said? If you go and you drink this blood and eat this body, then your sins will be atoned for. You'll be partaking in his body and his resurrection. That's what they said, right? You guys know what the table is. How many of these tables are all over the world?
Countless.
Countless. They're altars. They're not just tables, they're pillars, they're altars. They're made out of wood, and some are made out of stone, depending on where you're at. Do this in remembrance of me so you can have your sins atoned, saying that your sins were atoned for. You see? So where's the altars and the standing stones and the pillars? Where do you think they are today? Besides what we just saw about these churches, where do you guys think they are? Where are they? Does anyone know? I'll tell you where they are. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter number 14, it says this. The certain of Israel's leaders came to me, and while they were sitting with me, the word of Yahweh came to me, said, human being, these men have taken their idols into their hearts. Let me show it to you. These men have taken their idols into their hearts. That's where the idols are. And thus they're setting in front of them a stumbling block that leads to what? To sin. See? So should I let them consult me at all? They want to know what Yah's thinking. And he's telling us right now that the biggest stumbling block that Israel has had is the idols that are in their hearts. Now, let me tell you about the idols that lead you to sin. Let me tell you about the idols that we have. Because often we think it has to be a golden calf that we made, or we think it has to be an altar that has do this in remembrance of me, or we think that it has to be an image of somebody sitting on a cross or something. The idols that Yah is dealing with is the idols that are in the heart. The idol that we serve is the one who determines our behavior. The Elohim of Israel is different than all the other gods. That's why he says, you're my witnesses. When you and I have these different behaviors and these different attitudes towards what he said, that shows that you worship another God, that you have an idol in your heart. That's what's going to cause us to stumble, and that's what's causing us to sin. Everyone in the house of Israel who takes his idol into his heart, meaning his mind, thus setting in front of himself a stumbling block that leads to sin, and then comes to the prophet, I myself, Yahweh, will answer him in a manner suited to his many idols. In order to grab a hold of the house of Israel in their hearts, since through their idols they have fallen away from me. See, Israel is known for being idol worshipers. You see, that's the problem. Israel is an idolatrous people. And the idols that we have are not in front of us that you can see, they're in your mind. The idol for you could be some person. You'll put a person over the Holy One of Israel. You'll put a relationship over Yah. You'll put a job over Yah. You'll put a man over Yah. You'll put a teacher like Peter, James, John, and Paul. You'll put what they said over Yah. You'll hold on to Christ as a savior because you think you're not going to be delivered without him. That's the golden calf. That is the great sin. That's the one that causes us to stumble. There is no other salvation in anybody else except for Yah. Did Christ ever tell you about the Day of Atonement? Did the New Testament ever tell you about Yom Kippur? Did they go through and teach Israel to keep the Day of Atonement? No. They told Israel that that's done away with, according to their doctrines and teachings. That this so-called Christ paid the price, and he does the atonement with his blood sacrifice, human sacrifice. They introduced human sacrifice, and Israel is stupid enough, okay, to believe it along with everyone else. You see? That's the Christian message. We read Ezekiel 14. What's the expectation? What is the expectation for Yisrael? The expectation is very simple. It's a three-pronged process here. Okay, there's three things that you have to do. All right. And I want to share them with you. And these have to do with this has to do with others. Okay. And what I mean by others, I'm talking about the idols. It has to do with idols. It has to do with you and I, and it has to do with Yah. The first one is the idols. You have to destroy others, other Elohims, other idols. You have to destroy them. You have to go into your mind and you have to destroy them. You have to tear it down because the results of your repentance And the results of you being free from this is by you destroying them. Where? In your mind. You and I have to humble ourselves. This is a us deal. In my writing. This is a we and a us and a you. Okay. You, me, us, I, whatever how you want to look at it. We have to humble ourselves. We have to destroy them, and we have to be humble. What else is this about? This is about obeying. Oh, why is that doing that? This is about obeying the Creator. You see? It has to do with these three areas. This one, this one, this one. But you and I are part of all of it. You and I are going to have to be the ones. We have to destroy this. We have to humble ourselves. And we have to obey. You see? That's what this is all about. It's about getting rid of the idols that are inside of our minds. Don't go off this little soft message, my heart. Talk about where the idol really is. Now, let me give you a clear understanding of what an idol does. An idol allows you to be who you want to be when you want to be that person. This idol allows you to say that I can do whatever I want, whenever I feel like doing it, and I don't owe anybody an explanation for anything. I don't owe anybody an explanation. I can do whatever I want. It's which when you serve an idol, you're not walking in humility, and you're not obeying the Creator. This has to happen. You have to destroy this. And you have to go in your mind and destroy it. Because they're the ones who determine your behavior. We're all contaminated. We've all have had our dealings with these idols. And a lot of it has made us very obtruse. Some has made us very abrasive. A lot of us have dealt with pride issues where we don't want to have our pride broken. We refuse to do what he says. And the fact of the matter is, Yah says, I'm gonna repay them. I'm gonna punish them. So the Day of Atonement is about Shalom Aleichem. The Day of Atonement for us, you guys, is about us taking this time, this space and time, and really, really focus and meditate on who we are and who he is. We have to examine ourselves. Yah is looking for us to do a self-examination. He's not trying to say, I want you to bring a bull to me so I can kill it and then take its blood and then you get to go free. No. It's not about that. What it's about is for Israel to understand that Yah is putting us in a position for us to scrutinize our own selves. If you were to examine yourself, then Yah would look at that and go, okay, well, this person made a decision. They examined, they were being honest and they were being forthright. They were saying that I have issues and I want things to get better with myself. I don't want to be dishonest. I want to tell the truth. So whatever your issues are, you have to be honest and you have to go before the Holy One of Israel and you have to be able to be straight up. You have a problem with your mouth? Yeah, I have. This last year, yeah, what I've said some things. I've said a lot of things that is against, I've spoke against my parents, in a secret room. I said some things about my husband or my wife. I behaved in a way that was unseemingly. I treated someone differently and I was being prejudiced against them. I was being, I was practicing some kind of bigotry. I was, my deep, I don't know what it is about me, but I acted a certain way. I wasn't being fair in my business dealings. Something. There is something. But if we don't take responsibility for it, then we're in trouble. Because Yah judges every man according to their actions and their conduct. That's what he does. Everybody, according to your actions, according to your conduct, Yah is going to give you what you deserve. You can find that in 2 Chronicles, chapter number 6 and 7, and you can find in 2 Kings and 8. It's all over the place. You can find in Jeremiah. I can read it all over the place. But we don't have to read it to understand it. All we need to do is accept it. The fact is, you and I know who we are, and you know what we do, and you know what we say, and we know that we have secrets. And we have behaviors that we've learned since we were a child. So we have to give those things up. So this is the time to do it. So you're making a sacrifice. And the Holy One of Israel wants to know whether or not you and I are going to be honest and we're going to be transparent. He knows our hearts. He knows it. He knows. And there's nothing that you and I can do to hide from him. That's what he's trying to tell us. There's nothing that you can hide from me. I already know what it is. It's like I told you last week that he says, I know that these people are going to go against me. I know what they're going to do when they go into this land. I know they're going to go prostitute themselves to these other gods. The God that we serve determines how we behave. And because we say that we belong to the Holy One of Israel, our conduct has to match that. And we have to guard it. Even though he says you're profaning my name, we still have to guard it. You and I are liable. No one wants to tell you this because they just think it's all good. It's all candy, popcorn and candy. They don't want to tell you the truth. The truth is that we're liable. We're in agreement with the Creator. We're liable as beholding his image and holding and harnessing it, have the ability to make decisions, unlike animals who are based on instinct, who do have a Torah based on instinct and they follow. And if they go outside of that Torah, they die. We're a species of a creation. That's all we are. That Yah has decided to give us the ability to communicate with each other and talk with each other. It's a beautiful thing. But we're not satisfied. We don't want what he wants to give us. We want what we want. Our minds are on other things. This is why he's telling us this next few hours, take the time to get connected to me, and you need to tell me everything. I want you to verbalize it. I want you to say it. And I want you to confess it. And I want you to admit it. That's what I want you to do. Because I know you. I know who you are. I know where you come. I know it all. But you need to understand who I am. I'm not a human being. I know that you guys have been told that for some reason, I'm going to let it go. Not if you haven't been sincere. It says you're sincere with those who are sincere with you. Yah is merciful to those who are merciful. And he's sincere with those who are sincere. So be honest. Otherwise, you're just deceiving yourself and you're going to be in trouble. That's what this class was about tonight. That's what this day, this Yom Kippur is about. So we're going to go through this. No radio, no TV, no entertainment, nothing. You on your face before the living Elohim. That's what we need to do. That's what we're commanded to do. You understand? So no food, no water. You got to take medication. And is it a matter of life or death? Take your medication. I'm on painkillers, but guess what? I'm not drinking any water. I just got to endure the pain. I have to endure the pain. Period. Ice pack it? Yes, I'll do an ice pack. But that's it. And that's what this is what it calls for. Because this is not a religion. We're not playing a game here. Okay. Phone. There's no personal phone calls, calling and talking to people. None of those things. This is a time for you and I to get on our face before the King of the universe and be honest and really do some inner stuff. Call it introspection. Got to look at ourselves. He's not asking us to complain about anyone else, just you and him. To see if you and I are worthy of him. Because it's the one who has a whole heart and a brokenness about themselves. What did David said? Let me share it with you so you'll know that it's true. And then we'll close out. This is what he said. Let's look at what David said. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful psalm. He was in a bad spot. This is after he committed adultery and murder and all these different types of things. For the leader, a psalm of David, when Nathan the prophet came to him after his affair with Bathsheba. In your grace, have mercy on me, Elohim. In your great compassion, blot out my crimes. Wash me completely from my guilt and cleanse me from my sin. For I know my crimes, and my sin confronts me all the time. Against you, you only have I sinned and have done what is evil from your perspective, so that you are right in accusing me and justified in passing sentence. True, I was born guilty. I was a sinner from the moment my mother conceived me. Still, you want truth in the inward person. So make me know wisdom in my inmost heart, meaning my mind. Sprinkle me with hyssop, and I will be clean, and wash me, and I will be whiter than snow. Let me hear the sound of joy and gladness, so that the bones you crushed can rejoice. Turn away your face from my sins, and blot out my crimes, all of my crimes. Create in me a clean heart. That means a mind. And Elohim, renew in me a resolute spirit. And that word resolute means steady, a steady ruach, something that's not going to waver, something that's going to be resolute, that's going to be firm, that doesn't get moved at different times and different situations and circumstances, but maintains its steadiness through whatever's going on. Because that's what happened to him. Something popped up and his ruach got shaken. He wasn't steady with Yah. That's why he's asking Yah to clean him, to create in him a clean mind. Because that's where it all starts. It starts in our minds. You understand? So don't thrust me away from your presence, and don't take your Ruach Kodesh away from me. Restore my joy in your salvation, and let a willing spirit, let there be a willingness in me. Then I will teach the wicked your ways, and sinners will return to you. Rescue me from the guilt of shedding blood, Elohim, Elohim of my salvation. Then my tongue will sing about your righteousness. Yah will open my lips, and then my mouth will praise you. Why? For you don't want sacrifices, or I would give them. You don't take pleasure in burnt offerings. My sacrifice to Elohim is a broken spirit. Elohim, You won't spurn a broken and chastened mind. In your good pleasure, make Zion prosper. Rebuild the walls of Yerushalayim. Then you will delight in righteous sacrifices and burnt offerings, whole burnt offerings. Then they will offer bulls on your altar. You see? So what is it? Our sacrifice to Yahweh is a broken spirit. Elohim will not spurn a broken and a chastened mind. One mind that has been disciplined by oneself. That's what he's looking for, you guys. That's what he wants. He wants a sense of brokenness. Not this haughty person that feels like they haven't done anything wrong and they just need to go through the motions of the Day of Atonement and they never have to say sorry for nothing because they didn't do anything. If you knew who the creator of the heavens and the earth is by what his expectations are, and we have a very small mind, we would know that this box that I have a picture behind me with this cover on it, with these two karavim here that are there to protect Yah's words, guardians. This is a picture of the throne of Elohim. If this is a picture of the throne of Elohim that he protected, and the things that he's protecting is his words that are in the gold box, the 10 words, the covenant that he made with us that he has not broken, that you and I broke. We have broken the covenant. I don't care if it was an accident. I don't care if your parents didn't tell you it's broken. And the only way that we could get reconnected, reconcile, have a conciliatory type of attitude is to pacify him for his wrath and his anger. We have to adopt the attitude that Moshe had. Please remember the covenant of our fathers. Please. Beg Yah for mercy. He went up there for 40 days again, begging Yah not to kill us. Yah was going to wipe Israel off the face of the map. You need to understand that. Wipe them out. Never to be remembered again. This is serious. This is not a game. Be on your face. Stay on your face. They arouse my jealousy with the non-God and provoke me with their vanities. I will arouse their jealousy with the non-people and provoke them with a vile nation. For my anger has been fired up. Fired up. It burns to the depths of hell, Sheol, devouring the earth and its crops and kindling the very roots and the foundations of the hills. I will heap disasters on them and use up all my arrows against them. Fatigued by hunger, they will be consumed by fever and bitter defeat, and I will send the fangs of the wild beasts and the poison of reptiles crawling in the dust. Outside, the sword makes parents childless. Inside, there's panic, and young men and girls alike are slaying sucklings and gray beards together. I considered putting an end to them. I considered putting an end to them and erasing their memory from the human race. But I feared the insolence of their enemy. Feared that the foes would mistakenly think, oh, we ourselves have accomplished this. Yahweh had nothing to do with it. You need to be thankful for your enemies. You need to be thankful. Because if it had not been for them, of thinking that they destroyed Israel, you have been destroyed. All Israel. foreigners, strangers, everybody gone, never to be remembered, ever. Because he's not a man. He is a supernatural being. He's not a man. You and I need to fear him. And we don't know what that looks like because everybody's telling us you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. You're not going to be okay. Yah says, I was going to wipe them off the face of the earth. Not once. Several times, if you read the Torah, you would know he was going to wipe them out. Should you fear? Yeah, you should. What should you be thinking about? Closing thoughts. He wants us to think about the idols that we have in our hearts. He wants us to think about that great sin. The great sin is that someone else delivered Israel, and they had the courage and the gall to say it. We're his witnesses, and there is no one else. He's called us to testify and proclaim his set apart appointed times, which you and I are doing today. But don't follow up with just saying it out your mouth. Make sure that your mind has accepted this. Listen, if you're with this, okay, and you're going through this, you should take it all the way. Don't half step with this. If you're in, you're in. But be about it. Don't be halfway. Be all the way in it. And turn 100% back to the Holy One of Israel. Because he doesn't want to destroy us. He doesn't want to. Because if he did, he would have done it by now. He doesn't want to do it. But guess what? There are some people that he is going to destroy. And the ones that he's going to destroy and blot out of his book are the ones who still have their idols in their hearts. There's nothing you and I can do about it. Don't even imagine, what about my grandmother? Who cares? That's none of my business. What about my mom? That's none of my business. She never bowed down to me and I didn't give her life. So what am I worried about it for? It's not my problem. It's not my business. All I got to do is worry about me. If my kids, they're on here right now. They don't want to follow Yah. They don't have to. You know why? Because it's about me. Ezekiel 18 tells you it's about, I'm not going to punish Malachi for Dawid. And neither am I going to kill Dawid because of Malachi. Whatever Malachi does is what Malachi does. Whatever Dawid does is what Dawid does. I'm going to judge every man according to his own works. But if Dawid acts crazy, Malachi will suffer the experience from it. Any foolish thing that Dawid do, by default alone, Malachi is going to experience some problems. He's going to have some residual effect of it. But I'm not going to kill him for him. Every person will have to give an account for themselves. So if that's the case, I don't think I need to be worried about Mama and Big Mama. I think I need to be worried about me. I know I sound cold-blooded, right? But it's the truth. There you go, Stan. Thank you, Stan. It's the truth. It's the truth. That's what it is. And we can't cut any corners. Anyway, I want you all to know that I truly appreciate you. And I'm thankful that we had this opportunity to come together. And I want to say to us before we close, here you go. And I thank you for your time too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, for sure. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu, the Melech Haolam,
Kalam,
Yatzoror,
Yesor,
Uvarei Koshek,
Hebraic Koshek,
Osei Shalom,
Oseshkom,
Uvarei Atokol.
Hebraic Tokol.
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
See you.
our Elohim. You're the King of the world. He is forming the light and he's creating darkness. He's making peace and he's creating all things. Hallelujah. Any questions, any concerns before we go continue into our Day of Atonement? I got some questions. Anyone got any questions?
It's very enlightening. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a question. Yeah, Kale, go ahead.
Yeah, well, just the last part, when you said that we're all like judged for our own acts
Uh-huh.
of work, you know how they say in the New Testament that that you're not saved by your works, but I was just thinking, are we saved by our works because we are choosing to follow what the Most High says, and it's kind of like we're kind of working for our salvation because we're choosing to follow?
That's a great question. And the answer to that is, according to what Yah has said, he says, Israel, what I'm going to do for you, and it's in the book of Ezekiel, I'm not going to do this for your sake. I'm never going to do this for your sake. Okay. So what sake is he doing it for? He says, I'm doing it for my own name. I'm only doing this for my name. I'm not doing it I'm not doing it because you've done anything that, saying I deserve to go because I've turned my heart to you, right? So you owe me, right? So I've done my part. Now we're good. No. Listen, the reason why you're doing what you're doing, Kale, and the reason why we're all doing what we're doing, okay, is simply because that's the right thing to do, because that's what's supposed to be done. You don't reward somebody for doing what they've already supposed to be doing. You don't reward them for that. You don't do I give my children a reward because they clean up as I have instructed them to? No, I love them. I don't have to, I'm not trying to get them to do anything so they can earn it. You can't earn this. Okay. Israel's supposed to be dead. Okay. Gone, but we're not. So you ask, well, what's the benefit then? What are we doing then? What is this, right? What you and I are doing is this. We're testifying to the fact that what Yah said is true. That's all we're doing. We're testifying. We're proclaiming that, yes, he is the Elohim. That's what everyone's going to end up doing ultimately. Okay. Salvation for us is not what we've been told about, by your good works and your good deeds. It's a different mindset. We're not trying to appease him by just being good. Okay. We're not in this. Okay. The Christians do it because they're trying to earn something. They want to be good, right? Yah says, I'm going to come and get you, even though you're sinning against me and you're profaning my name. And I'm not coming in for you because of any good that you've done. Okay. Let's read it what he says, because that's what you want to know. You don't want to know what I'm talking about. Let's see what he says. Okay. So I believe it's in 20, it's in Ezekiel. Because I know it's a concept we're trying to wrap our minds around. Like, okay, so why am I doing all this if I'm not? So he says you got to be wholehearted to me, right? But here's a good point before I go there. All right. So the question would be, why are we doing it, right? How are we doing it and why are we doing it? Let's start right here and we'll look at it quickly. It says, all right, so if talking about Yah's going to come and gather us, right? He says, at that point, Yahweh your Elohim will reverse your exile, show you mercy. He will return you and gather you from all the peoples to which Yahweh Elohim has scattered you. Verse number 4. If one of yours is scattered to the far in the sky, Yahweh will gather you even from there, and he will go there and get you. Verse 5. Yahweh will bring you back into the land your ancestors possessed, and you will possess it, and he will make you prosper there, and you will become even more numerous than your ancestors. Okay, verse number 6. Then, what? Then Yahweh will circumcise your hearts. So is he circumcising your hearts before he brings you, or is he bringing your circumcise your heart after? He's circumcising your hearts after he brings you back. Okay. And your heart and the heart of your children. Why? Because so that you will love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and all your being. Okay. So thus you will live. Okay. So let's ask this question. Okay. Let's ask this question. What is Yah looking for then? Because Moshe already told us that we'd have to turn back to Yah with all of our hearts and all of our being. Like he said in verse number 2 here. He says, if you turn back, where is it in 2? Yeah. If you look, he's driven you and you're thinking about it, right? You start thinking about what's happening in verse number 1, verse number 2, and you will return. shuv to Yahweh and pay attention to what he said, which will be exactly what I'm ordering you to do today, you and your children, with all your heart and all your being. Okay, so there's two things being mentioned here. Number one, loving Yah in verse number 6, and number two, verse number 2 talks about turning back to the Torah with all your heart and all your being, all your mind and all your being. So both your mind and your soul is involved in turning back to the Torah. Okay, right? So there's an aspect that you are required to do this in order for this to happen. You're going to start thinking about something. So are you doing something right? But is that what's making us right with Yah? No, because you and I don't fully love Yah, according to what he just said. Yah will circumcise your heart then. Then after what? Then after Yah gathers you. After he gathers you, then he'll circumcise your heart. So our heart turning back to everything he's saying is different than our hearts being circumcised and loving Yahweh 100%. You and I don't love Yah the way that he wants to be loved. What is he looking for? What Yah is looking for, Kel, is what they call willingness. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for us to have willingness to turn. Willingness. That's what he's looking for. Somebody who's willing to do what he asks him to do. So can you, number one, can you do everything that the Torah prescribes? Answer, yes or no?
Yes, we can.
According to what he stipulated in the Torah, like the offerings and so forth, and in the land and all that.
Not
Are
right
we-
now, but we
no,
will be
no.
able to.
Okay, so let me ask you something. According to Yahweh's perspective, he's saying if you turn back to me, and Moshe said to do everything that I'm telling you to do, which will be exactly what I'm ordering you to do today. That's what he said. But if you look at it from a Western mindset, you would say, well, I am doing everything. I'm doing exactly what he's telling me to order you to do today. No, we're not. We're not doing everything that he asked that he told him from chapter number 1 all the way up to this chapter number 30. We're not in the land. We can't do all those things. So what is he really saying here? He's literally saying that you and I will return to Yahweh, saying that he's our Elohim. That's number one. And secondly, we would pay attention to what he said. Those are the two things, to return to him and to pay attention to what he's talking about. And that is, you have to have a willingness to do that. See, so even by you and I just saying, hey, I'm willing to do it, and I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to accept him as my Elohim, those are the things that he's looking for. Because Israel's been trapped in worshiping other gods. That's what this has all been about. It's a matter of listening to what he says. You're paying attention to what he says. That's what you're doing. Are you carrying out everything that he's telling us to do? No, but you're paying attention to what he says. Yah didn't send us here to carry out the orders of all the Torah. He sent us here to carry out the orders of saying, I'm willing to listen to what you say. So the prerequisite to answer your question for salvation for us is you have to listen to what he says, which would be everything he's ordering us to do. You're doing that, you see. But are you earning? You know, that's kind of a weird way to look at it, right? Are we earning this by doing this? Are we doing? Look, are you doing what you're doing because you want to be saved, or are you just doing it because you really want to do it? That would be the better question. Because some people, you're right, some people follow the Creator because they want to be delivered, right? Which is nothing wrong with it, but they have the wrong motivation. They're not looking at it properly. Yah's looking for someone who's willing to do what he says, like Caleb and Joshua, with wholeheartedness. That's what he's looking for. Well, okay. Oh, here it is. I'm concerned about my holy name, which the house of Israel is profaning among the nations where they have gone. That's where Israel is. Therefore, tell the house of Israel that Yahweh Elohim says this: I am not going to do this for your sake, house of Israel, but for the sake of my holy name. That's why I'm doing everything I'm going to do, which you have been profaning among the nations where you went. I will set my great name to be regarded as holy, since it has been profaned in the nations. You profaned it. among them. The nations will know that I'm Yahweh, says Yahweh Elohim, when before their eyes I'm set apart through you as being regarded as holy. I will take you from among the nations, right? I'm going to take you away from the nations because you've been scattered. I'm going to take you and gather you from all the countries and return to your own soil. Then I'll sprinkle clean water and you'll be clean. I will cleanse you from all your uncleannesses and you'll be and from all your idols, because that's what's gotten us. These idols have contaminated us. So he has to clean us from these things. That's in our minds. Okay. So as the question is this, since we say we're doing something right, everything that you and I have been doing, why then does he have to sprinkle us with clean water? If it was about what we're doing. See, it's not about what you're doing because you're still unclean. And he says, I will cleanse you from all your uncleannesses. When I take you back to the land. When I set apart and I gather you, then I'm going to clean you. You will be clean when I gather you. I will cleanse you from all your uncleanness and from your idols. I will give you a new heart. Why has he got to give you a new heart if everything is squared up? Did you not earn a new heart? Did you not give him a new heart? No. I'll put a new spirit inside you. Why you got to put a new spirit if everything is okay? I'll take out the stony heart. You mean I still got a stony heart? Yeah, that's why I got to circumcise it. That's why I told you I got to circumcise it. Because you don't love me the way that I want to be loved. I got to take that heart out of you, out of your flesh. And I got to give you a heart of flesh. I got to give you a new mind. And then I'm going to put my spirit inside of you. So does this sound like about anything about what you've done or what he's doing? Listen how many times he says this, and I'll just underline it. I will. 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 See? You see that? That's 7 times right there. So he's letting us know that he's the one who's going to do all this. You see? And then only you will do. And guess what you're going to do? You will. You're going to live what? In the land that I gave to your ancestors. That's what's going to happen. And then he goes on and tells you after that, I will. This is all about him. I will. I will be your Elohim. I will save you from all your cleanness. I will summon all the grain. I will multiply the yield of the fruit. Okay. Then you will remember what? Your evil ways. And your what? Actions that were not good. And then you will what? Loathe yourselves. For what? Your guilt and your disgusting practices. Understand. The master, Yahweh, says this. I am not going to do this for your sake. Instead, you guys need to be ashamed and dismayed for your ways, house of Israel. See? When that day comes for me to cleanse you from all your guilt, I will cause the cities to be inhabited and rebuilt again. The land will be desolate. Okay. So the bottom line to answer your question in full context is this. Yahweh is the one who's going to cleanse you and I. He's the one. You and I are just practicing, and you and I are saying, I have a willingness to do what you're asking me to do. And I'm putting myself upon your mercy. That's what I want. I want to be in your mercy. So I'm just doing this because number one, I fear you, but nothing that I could do could ever make you come and get me. It's because of the greatness of who you are. So Yah doesn't want us to focus our attention on ourselves. He wants us to refocus our attention on him, because he's the one who's going to do these things for us. It's not us, it's him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're doing it for you. You're doing it because you love Yahweh. You don't love with all your heart, but you're attempting to. He says, well, you showed a good effort, Kelvin. I see some improvement upon you. You want to take hold of me? You want to keep my covenant? Great. Come along. I love you, and I'll show you. I'm going to show you what happens when you turn to me. I'll show you, because I will make a distinction between those who serve me and those who don't. But it's not because of any good that you've done. I know it's hard for us to wrap our mind around that, because in some way or another, we think that we're deserving because we're being good kids. Regardless of what's going on, Yah says, I still love you. I still love you. And yes, it's beneficial for you. Oh, here you go. Kelvin, I'm sorry. That's the answer to your question. This will answer it better. Thank you for asking it. Praise the Holy One of Israel. His answer right here. Oh my goodness. The answer is right here. That's why the Holy One of Israel gave it to me. I'm going to scan right quick. I think it's in 33. Okay. He puts his feet and watches over another week's situation. He also did okay. Okay. Not there. 35. All right. So I heard what it says. Or 34. Okay. All right. So, all right, here, I'm gonna read it and then we'll just, I think it's in 35 though. All right. But this is good though. He said, he continued speaking, said, hear my words, you sages, and listen to me, you who know so much. For the ear tests words just as the palate tastes food. This is in the book of Job. He says, let's choose for ourselves what is just. Let's decide among ourselves what is good. For Job says, I'm in the right, but Elohim is denying me justice. And this is talking about how he felt about how Yahweh was treating him. And he says, this is not where I want to talk about it. No, because you know that you committed a crime. Let me see. You know, okay. Sorry, I just can't go straight to it. Okay, let me see. 35. Oh, here you go. Elihu went on to say, are you so convinced that you're right? And then saying, I am more just than Elohim. For what you ask, what advantage it is to you? How do I gain from not sinning? That was the question that Job had. Okay. This is a question he had about sin and his ability to do what I was asking him. He says, here's my answer to you and your friends. Look, the heavens at the heavens and see, observe the skies high above. If you sin, right? How do you hurt him? He told you to look at the sky and look up at the heavens and observe the skies high above you. He says, if you sin, how do you hurt him? Talking about Yah. He says, if your crimes are many, how do you affect him? If you are righteous, what do you give him? What benefit does he get from you? That's the question. This is what got me. Because he's asking, if you're righteous, what would, by us being righteous, Kelvin, what do we give to him? If we sin, how does it hurt him? Or if our crimes, does it affect him? You know, wickedness can affect only others like you and I. That's it. Your righteousness, only other human beings. You see? So people cry out from under oppressions. They cry from, for help from under the fist of the mighty, but no one asks, where's the Elohim, my maker, who causes glad songs to be rung out at night. So what he's saying is, if there's anything that you and I are doing, it's only affecting the people like us. Our good deeds are not effective to him. They're effective to other people around us. If you and I are righteous, righteousness is for you. It's not for him, because you and I don't add any righteousness to him. Any righteousness that you and I do, it's not for him. It's for you and people around you that benefit from your righteousness. You and I don't add anything to Yah. That's what he's trying to tell us, that I'm not human. I'm not looking for any of your righteousness to make you right. I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking at what kind of heart do you have. I just want to know if you're going to do what I say. That's all I want to know.
That's deep. I'm going to have to read that chapter.
Oh, no, read 34, 35, 33, 34, and 35 of Job. He tells you straight up, like, you guys think that you're affecting him. David, you think your righteousness? You think when you don't read the Torah, you're affecting him. That's what you think. You think the plan's not going through. You think everything is stopped because of you. See? And that's pride. Because Yah's telling us that your righteousness only affects people like you, human being, and not me. You don't add anything to me. I don't need you.
That's true. He's the mighty Yah.
I don't
So
need
why
any of
would
you
he?
guys.
Yeah.
I don't need you. I don't need you guys. Not that I don't like you. I love you, but I don't need you. You don't, you and I read the Torah and doing Yom Kippur. That's not help. That's not, that's for our benefit. That's not for his benefit. It's for ours. You see, he's only teaching us. I mean, okay, here's the, I'm not going to try to use my kids. Well, everything I've done for my son and my daughters, do you think it's for anything that they do? Do you think it's for my benefit? I become a good father because of, no, I'm going to be a good father no matter what. I like to see him do good, but what can they add to me? I can sing, I can say, oh, thank you. You guys are great, wonderful. I can praise them for their accomplishments, but without me, they wouldn't be anything. They wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for me. You wouldn't exist without your mother and your father. What are you adding to them? Nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Yah's our father, our spiritual father, and he created us. We don't add anything to him. We don't, you understand? If anything, we're offensive because we go against who he is. And he's saying, listen, I love you, but you need to understand something. I'm not like you. I'm nothing like you guys. I'm nothing like you. I'm not. Can't you see the gold box? Have any of you guys ever, if you even looked at this box, you have no reason to look at it, you did. If you touched it, you're gone. See? So what is that about? Well, that's about the holiness of the Holy One. That's what he's been trying to get us to understand. The reason why we're in exile right now, Kel, is simply because Israel didn't understand this. They didn't understand this one principle, that there's only one Elohim. And when we approach him, it's going to have to be the way that he says it. No other way. No other way. So no, you and I are not earning anything. You and I are we're the clay. And we can't say to the potter, well, I've been good because I don't care. You're one lump of clay and I can make another one. I can make 1,500 of you or 1,000 at any given time. So what makes it special? Well, Yah has plans for us. He wants us to proclaim who he is. And then you go through your cycles, you proclaim who he is, then you go to sleep with your ancestors. And if he found you to be worthy, then he'll lift you back up again through one of your children. Who knows? And that's it. We're nothing. We're nothing. And the moment that you and I accept that and we humble ourselves to that, then we're going to be fine. But if we elevate ourselves and think that we're deserving of something and that we've attained a level of, because this is why Yah did what he did to Job. He did that to Job because Job believed that he was righteous in his own way. He thought because of his good acts, his deeds that he did, he turned his eyes from looking at young women. He never took any bribes. He never did anything. Read it when you get a chance. Read it. He says that you thought you're saying that, that what you're suffering is, I don't know why Yah's doing this to me. If I did something, let it be known to me. Yah said, why did he do everything he did to Job? He did everything to Job and treated Job like an enemy because that's what his name means. It's because Job had pride. And he thought because he was righteous that he was undeserving of the troubles that he had. As if he was special to Yah and that he didn't have to go through that. And Yah's telling every last one of us that you're a human being and you are special to me. But guess what? You still got to go through what you got to go through. But your righteousness is good for you. It's not good for me. It's for you. It's not for me. It never has been for me. It's been for you. Because I chose you. I'm righteous regardless if you're not, if you are not. You die. I don't. So we're suffering from pride. And he says, I got to knock that out of you because I got to bring it to your attention. And what he does, Kel, is he brings us through affliction to humble us, to show us our pride, because he has to break our pride.
Yeah, one thing that I just thought about was it is good for us. It's not, I mean, it doesn't benefit him, but it benefits us because it gives us life and it elevates us as far as like we live longer because of us
Yes,
following the Torah.
yes, and you'll be a human being of light, and you'll be a human being of reason, and you'll be a human being to help people live longer because you're going to live longer. You're going to have a healthier life. You're going to have a better life. Your mindset is going to be completely different. It's for your benefit. You get to live longer. You see, the ones who have listened to what Yahweh says, there's a word in the Hebrew that talks about one being foolish. The people that he would kill, he would use that word, they were foolish. Like the kid who wouldn't listen to their parents. He said, you're foolish. The daughter who's being being trampish and sleeping with a whole bunch of different men, as if the community would never know and bring it back to the father's house. He said, you're foolish. You died foolishly. A lot of people died in Israel because they were just fools. So he's telling us, like, look, you guys don't be foolish. There's just dumb stuff that you do. Okay. But for us, he's saying, I need to break your pride. We've been taught, this ain't our own fault, but even though we didn't do it, we're still guilty. You and I have been taught that once I do something, then I'm approved. I get the stamp of approval, and then Yah will accept me. No. Yah looks at a person's heart and he looks at their mind, and he's like, hey, is this person a certain way? If they are, he saw one guy who's going to kill all of his kids. He said, everyone who was in your family's dying. Every one of these king's kids, he said, all your sons are dying. And he said, except for one. And the one he didn't kill, he says, because I saw something good in him. So does Yah see good in us? Yes, he does see it in some of us. But the fact of the matter is, you answered your own question. It's better for us because we get to live longer and we get to be better people. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. It's not for his benefit. He lives forever. It's so you and I can live a little bit longer. Why die? You don't have to needlessly die. So you being the way that you are, Kel, you go to the land, people like, hey, this guy right here, he follows everything. Look at him. Look at him. He's just, life is good for him. He's vibrant. Things are going good. Different attitude of behavior. You think differently. So right now, people can see the contrast between you and people who don't follow Yah. I know you can see it. I can. Me and Rivka was talking about the other day. We were watching TV and we're like, hey, man, we're so different. I know I don't have any friends. These people, we don't do the things that they do. We don't think like them. We don't eat like them. None of that. None of us. So we're different. And it's okay. Why can't it be okay for just say, well, we're following Yah because it's good for us? Your diet, how does your stomach affect Yah? It doesn't affect him. It affects us. See? So you're right. You're absolutely right. And I thank you for that contribution. And thanking you for bringing it out. But chapter 33, 34, and 35. Meditate upon that and understand that. And when you read it, you'll be like, oh my goodness. So you afflicted him because he didn't think, and he thought he was 100. Yes, he thought he was 100 because he did all these good things. Yah says, no, I got to break that pride in you because you got pride. See, I'm coming to understand that too. I'm a very prideful man. I did this, I was this, I had this, I had businesses, I got 250 employees. I'm still, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a top 10 student in the Bay Area. I'm smart. I could do this, I could do that. And God says, means absolutely nothing to me. Because you judge on the outer appearance of things. I know who you are. And that's what you're trying to find out. That's what this is about. Those of you who are still online, that's what you're trying to find out during this time. This is what we're after. You and I need to find out who we really are. And so when you get on your face and you start asking out and talking to him during these hours of silence, you're going to find out who you really are. Ask him. Ask him tonight before you go to bed. Reveal to me who I am and what have I been doing that's wrong. And I want to know, no matter how bad it hurts me, just show it to me and show me what kind of person I am. I want to know because I want to change. And guess what's going to happen? Yah will reveal it to you. You might bust out in tears. You might be doing something and sitting there, not eating, of course, but you'll be sitting there thinking, and then boom, it hits you. And you'll be like, oh my goodness, this is who I am. It's like, yep. He'll show you something in your life, in your past. He'll show you something that you've done or something that you said or some way that you behaved, and he'll reveal it to you. Then once he reveals it to you, then you can repent from that. So for me, I have to ask the same things. I'm not telling you guys to do this and something I'm not going to do. This is something we need to do. If you want to find out who you really are, not what you think you are, but who you really are, then you go to the creator and you ask him to reveal to you who you really are. And what is it about you that he doesn't like? And he'll tell it to you. And then at that moment that you hear it, you're going to have to make an adjustment. So if it's an attitude, if it's a way that you talk, if it's a way that you think, then Yah's he's gonna change you. He's gonna give it to you. And then it's up to us to repent about it, and to shuv and say, I'll turn away from that. And I won't do that no more. You see? So you just got to be open for it. Be open to the correction. So I'll say that and I'll let you guys go. It's time for examination. It's time to do some heavy examination. Any more questions before we leave? If not, I say praise be to the Holy One of Israel, and we will reconvene tomorrow at 7 p.m. to the end of the Yom Kippur, and then we can get ready and prepare to enjoy the festivities that we have within ourselves for the next couple of days. After that, on the 15th of this month, you're going to Sukkot, and then you will be able to spend that time with the Holy One of Israel and rejoice. Okay, so there's times and spaces for everything. So right now is a time for mourning, and a time for repentance, and a time to really examine oneself. And that's what I love about the Torah, is that it gives you an opportunity to do so. We've never had that opportunity. We never did. Now that we have it, we got to take advantage of it. All right. So I'll say to you, Shalom, Laila Tov, and I'll see you guys.
Shalom.
Shalom, Lila Tov.
Laila Tov, see you tomorrow at
See you
7.
tomorrow. Yes.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.